Everything in this video is alleged, and the opinions of just me. Yes, I have been following this story. A few weeks ago, I couldn't sleep, and I just started to stroll through my phone, and there was this trending story on social media, and it was about a fight, a terrible fight between two women. But can you really even call it a fight? You can clearly hear two male voices, one asking why she ain't fighting back, and a second responding, Quella, ain't you gonna fight back? At least do something. The women who responded no, she's naked, and she isn't fighting back. The more aggressive woman is hurling closed fists and punching her repeatedly. The woman taking these blows, she's not screaming, she's not fighting back, she's not even curled up in a fetal position to protect herself. I couldn't even hear her cry. Her friends, or her so-called friends, and the best friend is recording this. Again, she's nude, and at least in front of two men and being recorded. For ultimately someone to see, but now the world to see, because that's what we do now. She lands on the floor after being hurled and slammed. The video is shocking, it's disgusting, and it's finished. I said to myself, this has to be over a guy. No way is one woman going to brutally pound over and over again on another woman like that. And she's supposed to be your friend. You wouldn't even fight like that over stolen money. You'd probably take your losses, call her a couple of names on social media, and be done with it. This has to be over a guy. The way she pounced and kicked her, she wasn't even fighting or moving back. At this point, it isn't a fight. It's a beating that went viral. If you thought that that was shocking, can you imagine the parents of the one that was being beaten? After watching this and everything that was told that happened to her, it had been a lie. Her name is Shanquella Robinson, 25 years old, out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Shanquella is the founder of her own clothing line, a hairstylist, and a social media personality. I watched videos of her braiding hearts in young girls' hair on TikTok. The children loved it. It was creative and adorable. Shanquella had headed to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, with 6 friends of hers: Winter Donovan, Malik Dyer, Elisa Hyatt, Dejanay Jackson, and her best friend, Khalil Cook, and later Nazir Wiggins would join them. They were there to celebrate a birthday. There are several videos on social media, and they're now being called the Cabo Six. But you can see them having drinking games, eating, and the interaction with Shanquella, who's filming. You can hear her voice. She's eager, she's upbeat, she's ready to have a good time, speaking to her friends. But at this point, I can't refer to them as friends, so I will call them vacationers. Shanquella had phoned her mother back in North Carolina to let her know she arrived safely. She told her mother she was going to have dinner, but her mother didn't know that that would be the last time that she would hear her daughter's voice again. Salamandra Robinson would receive multiple calls from the vacationers. The vacationers had different accounts of what was going on with Shanquella. Her best friend Khalil, who the Robinsons know very well, he actually vacationed with them. He was always invited to the family home, says Salamandra. He had known Shanquella for over 8 years now. He had called to tell her that Shanquella wasn't doing well. He needed $5,000 to take Shanquella to the hospital. Salamandra informed Khalil her daughter had medical insurance. Another call from Khalil, he would tell Salamandra that Shanquella had passed away from alcohol poisoning. This was hard for Salamandra to believe. Her daughter didn't drink that much and definitely did not drink enough for alcohol poisoning. The vacationers would hurry and return back to the States without Shanquella, changing their flight dates immediately, and all with conflicting stories were spilling out onto social media. All Salamandra was left with was her daughter's luggage that was brought back by one of the vacationers. Salamandra would have her daughter's body returned back to the States with a $6,000 bill in order to do so, where she would then have an autopsy done. The so-called best friend would visit Salamandra's mother while she was grieving. She informed him that she had an autopsy done on her daughter. She said he never returned back to her home after he found out that she did this. Between $10,000 to $20,000 was stolen from Shanquella's accounts while she was in Mexico. Some say it was done by the vacationers, or perhaps money to pay off the Mexican police and the doctors. There wasn't any alcohol in her daughter's body. She received that information on the autopsy report. Shanquella had died from a severe spinal cord injury, an atlas luxation, if I pronounced that wrong. In other words, a broken neck. She had a spinal injury and a broken neck. The doctor said her injury was so severe that she passed 15 minutes after that occurred. In my words, it looked like Shanquella was beaten to death. Khalil, you know, the one that went on the family trips? I had watched recently a video of him that Shanquella was recording. She sang in it playfully and lovingly, "I love you, Khalil." He wanted to keep these memories that he recorded of his friend, naked and being beaten. You don't record things that you don't want to see again. He just didn't know that this video was going to ultimately become a snuff film. It looked like this video was supposed to see a woman naked, the most embarrassing moments, and beaten. But this is your best friend. Why would he want to do that? Many wanted to know why this had even happened. Was it planned? Why go to another country to do something that started in North Carolina? To have a room full of her so-called friends watch as she's beaten to death in the nude? There are rumors that Shanquella had one of the aggressor's cousin killed, and this was some type of payback. Rumors Shanquella had recorded Khalil and Malik, her two male friends, having a sexual encounter. Even saying at first that Shanquella was trans woman, and that's why she didn't hit the aggressor back. And then saying the aggressor was the trans woman. As if being trans, you deserve to be beaten like that. Shanquella's so-called friends were jealous of her success, her spirit, her humanity. She even was able to afford to fit the bill for several of these friends, is what I read, to this trip to Cabo. A lot of people had likened this to the Kanika Jenkins death. Remember when a bunch of friends go to a party, a hotel party gathering, and Kanika is found dead in a hotel freezer of the kitchen that hadn't been used in years. And there is a camera above this freezer, but it's not working or conveniently missing after she's found dead. How did Kanika actually go inside this freezer was never discovered. You heard it all. Everything from Chicago gangs, Illuminati, organ harvesting, jealous friends, and even a sacrifice from her heartbroken mother. There hadn't been any arrest in that death. We're only left with Kanika had walked into a freezer on her own accord, even though there was a big red button inside that freezer that she could have pressed at any moment and have the door open. But she didn't do it because she couldn't do it. A story I covered on this channel about Caleb Short. He lived not too far from me. His best friend, they called themselves cousins. His best friend would recruit others, and they would enter in his friend's home, tying and torturing this family, killing Caleb, his mother, and his little niece, all to gain clothing, sneakers, and game systems, stealing Caleb's grandparents' car, and yes, that friend had went on trips too with that family. You would be surprised who will become jealous of you, and that's scary. The reasons why a person becomes jealous in the first place is scary. A best friend can easily be an enemy that knows everything about you at any given moment. And on October 29th, 2022, that moment was given to Shanquella because she was no longer alive, as her best friend, Khalil, was the one that would witness her last breath. The vacationers had changed their flight tickets, hotels, and eventually headed back to America. Some reports say thousands of dollars again was stolen from Shaquilla's bank accounts. There's a lot of different and misguided information on social media about this case. This story is tragic on its own, but it's unfortunately all over the place, with many people believing different things and adding in falsehoods that they know aren't true. Why? Isn't this story horrible and tragic enough? The money was motive. That's what a lot of people were saying, but I think personally that the money was an after effect. Shanquella's family had to set out to find the answers and also search for justice in their daughter's death. I've watched interviews with Bernard Robinson, her father, and he's not doing well. He described seeing his daughter at the funeral with a swollen eye, a knot on her head, and a cut lip. He says he believes it's a setup. He could barely speak. He cries almost in every interview I've seen. His life has changed. He says he will never hear her call him daddy again. He will never have the opportunity to walk her down the aisle or have grandchildren. That was his only child. Someone, a bunch of someones, had taken that from him and taken Shaquella's opportunity to have that. Salamandra, the mother, she appears strong, but she has to be because it's what we do. She can't break, at least not right now. She has a long, winding road ahead, and she just wants everyone involved, along with Shanquella's sister. They want justice. The Robinson family had the runaround for weeks. Answers did not come easily, not even for them. Mexico had actually dropped this case, but cut to now, the FBI is investigating this case according to the Charlotte Observer. There have been many rumors that the ringleader was arrested. That's Dejanay Jackson. That was the one in the first video. But those are just rumors. Rumors of a second video with Winter Donovan saying she was the one that actually caused the death blow. But to my knowledge, I haven't seen a second video, and there hasn't been one posted on social media. If it exists at all, I don't know. Rumors that all the women, along with Alisa Hyatt, had jumped and took turns beating her over and over again off camera. All this because an ex-boyfriend of one of these women had texted Shanquella. That rumor had been around since the video had went viral back in late October and very early November. I believe it has some truth in it because now we're almost towards the middle and end of December, and the story changes with each person that speaks about it. I saw a post allegedly written by one of the vacationers saying everyone fights, and it's unfortunate that Shanquella had died, but they were not going to go to jail for a fight. But she should know that that wasn't true because everyone doesn't fight. Shanquella didn't fight, and we have proof of that. The person who says that everyone fights, they also says, quote, Quella did some crazy shit while she was drunk, end quote. This was the reason why Shanquella had to take this horrible beating by one, if not all, of the vacationers. So the Cabo Six is what social media is calling them. They would lock and delete their social media accounts. And of course, we know fake accounts go up right after. Now, prior to that, Nazir Wiggins, who shows his face so you know it's him, had posted he tried to help Quella. He sat with her in that hotel room. He played soft music, rubbed her face. He explains his actions. He said he actually arrived a day later, posting plane tickets. He says he didn't know what happened. He didn't know, in my words, that he was trying to nurse a deceased person back to health. He spoke about how nurses were there. He explained they told him that they found Shanquella slumped over on the bathroom. He would ultimately leave Shanquella in Cabo and head back to North Carolina. He said he never knew of a fight. He'd never seen a fight till later. He had no clue of what happened, and he didn't know what was going on. He felt that he was lied to by the vacationers, and he felt that it was a setup. That's what he said, and he says he's innocent. Winter Donovan, the one that posted Quella had did some crazy shit because she was drunk. The public, and I'm sure the family, want to know what else occurred. What else happened that Shanquella was taken away so violently that she was beaten up and left with a broken neck? There were two reports, one stating professionals had arrived, and that's when they described the spinal cord and neck injury, saying she died 15 minutes later. There's also a second report stating that Shanquella was alive, drunk, and stable. They advised friends to take her to the hospital, but the vacationers refused. But hours later, she took a turn for the worse, and she was having seizures, difficulty breathing, and a decreased pulse. Paramedics attempted to revive her, but she went in cardiac arrest and was declared deceased an hour later. The end of October or early November, the case was closed from the Mexican officials, but it has been reopened. I have heard and read everything that the police in Cabo, along with the doctors, were paid off. Again, that's probably why the amounts, the large amounts of money, was taken from Shanquella's bank account. There's truth to that, because why do we have these two medical reports and one of them obviously a bogus reports? This isn't going to be wrapped up quickly. There are too many twists and turns, and a lot of the information that has been reported and that will be reported is false information. I was so happy when I heard Dejanay Jackson was arrested, only to find out that that wasn't true. I can honestly say that there are three things that are true in this story, and that is that Shanquella did die of a broken neck and a cracked spinal cord, that she was nude, beaten, and recorded while others watched, including her best friend. And finally, she had no friends on that Cabo vacation. Those are some facts right there that are definitely true. We hear a lot about Dejanay, that was the one starring in the first video. And again, we hadn't seen that second video that we hear that Winter Donovan may have actually given that death blow. But what about Alyssa Hyatt? What role did she play along with the plotting? Because I had heard that they did take turns beating Shanquella. So Alyssa Hyatt had to be a part of that, right? Now, while Alyssa was plotting along with the Cabo Six in that hotel in Mexico, Demetrius Hill, 31 years old, had shot Anita Hyatt, 31 years old. That's Alyssa's sister. That's right, her sister, Anita, she was at a Super 8 motel in North Carolina, where later she was taken to the hospital and she was pronounced dead on October 28th, just hours before Shanquella was pronounced dead. Both these women could have possibly been murdered on the same day. So while Anita was murdered by her boyfriend, her sister would be involved in a murder in another hotel in another country. I actually saw the Demetrius Hill and his postings, and according to his Facebook page, he had just gotten out of prison like 2 years prior. And Anita and his seemingly caring family, they welcomed him with open arms. There's video of that. All to end up with Anita dead at the hands of Demetrius Hill, and he's back in prison. Horrible. It makes me wonder, being she was overseas and in her own demon time, did she know that her sister was being murdered? I don't even think she had the time then to know. I don't think so. On October 28th, a year ago, to the date of Shanquella's murder, Shanquella had reposted, "Can't wait to finally get the love I give." And here she is in a hotel with her best friend that she loved. And he would contribute to her never existing again. My condolence to the Robinson family. Rest in peace, Shanquella Robinson, and justice for Shanquella.